Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm back in PowerWash Simulator again. I think today we're going to be cleaning the park, I think that was all like the playground, I think it was. So yes, that'll be a fun one to do. I think it's quite a long one though, this one. So yeah, might as well get started onto it. One thing that I'm going to address first is that Warhammer, not Skyrim or God of War, like I said last time, it's Warhammer. Yeah, I thought I recognised the sword in it, but yeah. There we go, sorry. No, so that's Warhammer 40,000, Midgar, part of Warhammer. Didn't know. So yes, that's a cool one. I think the only thing I know about Warhammer is that I remember I had a friend in high school who, yeah, they like collecting Warhammer figures and stuff. And I remember, I think once he actually gave me a load of them for some reason. Don't really know why, because I was never really into Warhammer, but yeah, so that's the most I know about Warhammer. So just before we go in, I'll just go into the shop, see if there's anything else we can buy. Because the thing is, it'll hopefully make it a little bit quicker being able to buy a load of stuff. So there's this one which I can't afford yet, so we'll probably get that next time. And then let's see. I'm assuming these ones just aren't unlocked, because, yeah, I can't buy any more of them. I do know that for future ones you have to use the long extension because otherwise you can't reach those areas. All of these are out of stock, so I'm assuming we're not really going to have much to be able to use. One thing that I am actually going to apply is because the gloves have been applied, the winter outfit's been applied. I never actually applied this, so I'll actually apply it once I actually get into game. The lovely kind of festive thing, because we're in March now, it's still festive, of course, we're in spring. Right, so yeah, there's nothing else I can really buy, to be honest, so yeah, I'll probably save up a lot of money. So yeah, let's go into the career mode, continue, and then yeah, the playground, there we go, Muckingham Recreation Ground, 600, so I can't remember how much the last ones were actually, hold on. Right. So it's probably going to be a little bit longer than the bungalow took, but at least we don't have, like, you know, a vehicle to clean as well. So yeah, but normally like kind of the price tag lets you know kind of how long it's going to take ish. So yeah, let's go and clean the playground. Right, so the park warden, dirt finder. I've got a frankly ridiculous situation on my hands. You see, some of the local children have been coming down with a curious and unsightly form of dermatitis. Dermatitis? This is another one of those things where I'm just going to like put up what dermatitis is in the corner. And a few fretful folk have been putting it down to the condition of the recreational facilities. I'm assuming dermatitis is like a skin condition. I guess, you know, kind of dermatology, dermatitis. I don't know. So yeah, I'm guessing like kind of getting like an infection from the dirtiness. I mean, to be honest, most kind of areas where children play are probably incredibly like germ infested, you know, playgrounds, play pits and whatever, you know. Yeah, probably not the most hygienic in general, even without like all the dirt and muck on them and stuff. It's all nonsense, of course, but if we could just humour them and give the whole thing a thorough hose down, I would be most grateful. Well, that's the point of the game, so let's go. Boom. Yeah, sorry by the way in these videos I keep like sniffing. It's because of this issue that I have just with like my nose constantly being blocked. I keep using that spray stuff, but even then, there we go. It's like never being able to breathe through your nose. It's such fun. There we go, let's continue. I'm probably going to have to check the sound as well. Yeah, just on my end. There we go. Like, this is the thing, on the actual video audio, the volume will be fine. It's just on my end, I don't want it like blasting out, otherwise I can't hear myself think. So here we are, we got a lovely dinosaur slide here. Let's go down this dirty dinosaur slide. Whee! Then we got the roundabout, then this, I remember this thing took ages to do, and also like the bits on the floor, because each of these colours is a separate thing. And we've got the bin as well. And I believe that's like a skate park over there. So I think we might do that later. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. We've got the big city. Can we find the volcano anywhere? Where's the volcano? If we can see it. We might not be able to. Hold on. The bigger question is, where's the gnome? Because there's bound to be a gnome somewhere. You know that. What did I call it? Leonard? Was it Leonard the gnome last time? Yeah. Oh, there he is! Oh my god, I found him! There he is. There's that gnomey bastard. Right. Yeah, we found the gnome. But just look at him, just like peeking from behind that tree over. That's so creepy. But I kind of like that in a way. That kind of has like a weird, creepy ominousness to it. So, yeah, enough dilly-dallying. Let's get on to power washing. So I'll just see... well, yeah, for starters, as I said, I'm going to put on the... How do I put on the... would it be in clothing? No? How do I put on the new power washer skin? Hold on. Yeah, so we got that. Got that. How do I genuinely... Please tell me I'm not going to... Also, I forgot to start my stopwatch again. Fun. God. How do I put on my new skin, then? For the... I genuinely don't know how to... This is where I'm actually going to have to... Hold on a second. I'm just going to go and Google it.
A few moments later.
Right, so I think I've found it. Ah, here we go. So it's this that you have to click. Oh, but that only gives you... Hold on. Is it this? Yeah. Oh, so for some reason that winter skin isn't... Yeah, because it says to click this thing in the corner and then that should do it. That's weird. Because, yeah, like the Christmas outfit's still on, right? Oh, the Christmas outfit isn't... Oh, so there we go. So select that. There we go. Oh, and then I got Fashionista. I swear I got that last time, didn't I? Unless if the achievements didn't save. Which would be a bummer. Huh. That's weird that that hasn't been... Can I check if it's been purchased? I'm pretty sure I did. Hold on. Yeah, owned. So it should be there. I like how this is the thing that I'm like spending the first part of the episode on, just trying to work out how to put a skin on my... It should be this, I feel like. And then it should come up here. That's weird. I don't know. Maybe I just can't put it on anymore. Maybe I missed my slot. I don't know. Actually, there's someone who's just put an image on here, so I can double check if it definitely is the right thing. Hold on. Yeah, so that is the right thing. Just for some reason, it isn't giving me the winter one. Well, that's a shame. Oh, well. Right. There we go. Back to my stopwatch, which is inaccurate as normal. Right, so let's get on the soap nozzle and let's see what cleaning liquids we have left. Not much. So we've got glass and stone, which I feel like are the two things we don't have any of at this point. There's wood. I don't think there's any stones. Plastic there. Wood. Yeah, that's multi-purpose. I don't think there's any. And there's definitely no glass. I can't see any glass anywhere. Right, so I guess we can't use that then. Well, let's just start off with this one then. Why don't we? Well, we'll start off with the ground. I think, yeah, we do the floor edge. Start with that. And then talk utter nonsense, as normal. Yeah, I was thinking possibly... I've got an idea for when and if I somehow get 100 subscribers. I thought of an idea when I do that... a way to kind of get like a little bit more of a conversation going in a way during the videos, like kind of talking points that I can use. I won't reveal what it is yet, but that'll probably come in the next channel update when I actually hit 100. But yeah, I had an idea about how I can actually come up with kind of talking points and conversation starters, because I'm pretty rubbish at it, especially when some of these videos take a while to record, because things like PowerWash Simulator are really long to do. So, yeah. Now's the talking time. What to talk about? Towers is opening in a week. Yay, that's fun. Yeah, as I said, I think last time, I think in the Minecraft video, that there's a lot less to talk about when I'm, when I've like when I'm uploading videos so quickly. Like, this is the third video that I'm recording this week. Like, it's kind of crazy that I'm actually managed to do this many so quickly. But yeah, excited about Towers opening. Seen a few other little bits of the Forbidden Valley area. Yesterday, was it yesterday or it might have been today? I can't remember. But the map for the new Alton Towers map's been revealed, which yeah, it looks really cool. I heard some people like complain about it being 3D, but like I feel that's cool. You know, it's like a little 3D kind of you know, walkthrough. Yeah, it looks really like it's got like a very basic, simplistic kind of like polygonal design, but I quite like that. I think it looks cool. It's a shame on Twitter though that they only like released it on social media and not on YouTube, because yeah, the Twitter video, it's very hard to see. It always kind of like compresses the video files, doesn't it? But yeah, it looks good. But on I think Towers Times and other people, they've been to the park today, and there's like at the entrance where they have that kind of like big kind of signage to like the side. I think it's where the Bear Grylls thing used to be. They put the new map up, and there's like specific things in Forbidden Valley. So like there's like a new entryway from, because I think I mentioned in the last video as well that I'll probably go through Gloomy Wood and go through the entrance kind of near Subterra, because there's like a new entryway being constructed. It looks really cool. So yeah, I'll be doing that on opening day. It's kind of like when we went to Curse Alton Manor on opening day last year, where you see like the big gates and the big sign saying Alton Manor on top. Like, yeah, I think it's going to be something really cool like that. And also just like a load of the new like shops and stuff like that. They're all getting new names and stuff. And we also actually got a massive update from Bianca Sama yesterday as well. Was it yesterday or was that the day before? I can't remember. But we've had one recently anyway. Which yeah, going over a load of new stuff. A couple of bits a little bit disappointing, but even then, I think those disappointing bits, I still see why, and I still think they're the right decisions. So I think the two biggest ones were Hex won't be opening straight away. It'll be opening later in the season, which, to be honest, I kind of prefer a little bit. I mean, while I would love to get back on Hex, I think it means that I can focus then on Nemesis on opening day, and then we can have like a little opening day for Hex when that reopens. I'm thinking, honestly, the best time for it might be like Scarefest. You know, it kind of makes sense, like, you know, spooky time. You know, and it's kind of like a spooky ride, so that would make sense. But then again, Scarefest would also have like the mazes and stuff to cover, so maybe, you know, maybe over the summer when there's not really much going on, or maybe like end of springs, like May time. That could be a good idea. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And apparently there are some like new effects, new things, new theming, and apparently all the rides are getting new theming as well. Like, I thought they were just going to get like a jet wash, like I'm doing a power wash now, aren't I? But again, difference between jet washing and power washing, can't remember. But yeah, like I thought it was just going to be they're getting like a bit of a clean down, but no, they're all getting like apparently new theming, new technology. Not all the rides, but like I think a lot of the big ones, probably like the secret weapons and stuff like that, are all getting big stuff. I mean, at the pirate event, we already saw that Wicker Man was getting this kind of like structure around it. Like, there's a big like wooden structure near like kind of like the just before the pre-show building. There was like a big wooden structure. Battle Galleons had the same thing, and so yeah, like I can't wait to see what's gonna be there. You know, I'm assuming that's just gonna be a shelter bit, but like, you know, yeah, there's new bits of theming, new bits of technology and stuff. Yeah, I'm more than happy to see that across all the rides. I mean, with Smiler, as I was saying in the last PowerWash Simulator video about, you know, they could have used a lot of the Smiler takeover props for like if they did a Ministry of Joy version of Panic, that yeah, you know, they could use those bits just for the Smiler, to be honest. Like, you know, that would work pretty well. Right, what am I missing on here? Tab. It's all along the edge, right? So I have to do all this. But yeah, you know, all sounding positive there. And then the other kind of slightly disappointing thing, I think the more disappointing thing is with the Sky Ride, which is that yeah, unfortunately that's going to be pushed back till, I'm guessing, 2025, but it's been delayed essentially, but it's for good reason, which is because they've realised it's going to need a lot more kind of extensive work to keep up the longevity of it. And so yeah, they're putting in even more investment, even more money, even more time into it, which yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I saw some people saying that Skyride should have been the #1 priority, but then again, you know that those same people would be complaining if Nemi wasn't open on opening day. So I feel like Nemi did need to be the highest priority, but I do also think that at one point they need to open wrap up for hotel guests. Sorry, not open wrap up. Open the hotel entrance for wrap users or any disabled users. That means they can get to Forbidden Valley easy because, yeah, you know, without the Skyride, it's yeah, it's difficult to do. So yeah, I really feel like at some point they need to do that. I don't know, you know, they'll do it straight away, but yeah, I feel like at some point they need to do that if the Skyride. But to be honest, even if the Skyride is there, I feel like that's a thing that should already be in place. But yeah, you know, I think, you know, they need to take the time with it because that's the thing that kept happening with Hex. Like, you know, they kept closing it, doing work on it, and then reopening it, but then it didn't really stay open for long. And I think that's because they tried to do little quick fixes to it rather than actually taking their time and working on it. So yeah, I feel like if they take their time with the Skyride, make it really good, really, you know, really polished stuff, and yeah, I think trying to protect the longevity of it in a way, yeah, I think that's really the best thing to do, to be honest. And yeah, looking forward to it. Another big one, which really pertains to me, is the dungeon, which apparently is going to be closing over the summer for a scare attraction to be put into it at Scarefest, which I think for starters, I'm hoping, and from the way that Bianca worded it, it sounds like it's going to close over the summer to put the Scarefest stuff in it. It feels like it's going to be more of an overlay rather than a complete closure. Like, I don't think this is going to be the end of the dungeons. I think it's going to be like first half of the season. Each season it's going to be the dungeons, and then over the summer and onwards it's going to be this scare attraction or whatever. Which and I kind of hope that that's the case. I hope it's not going to be a permanent end to the dungeon, because I think despite it being an upcharge, and you know the fact that you know all the other dungeons aren't upcharge, you know you can go into them for free, apart from the Warwick Castle one. But even then that was quite cheap. But yeah, despite all the other dungeons being free if you have a Merlin annual pass, but this one you still have to do an upcharge, I still think it's always a good experience when I go through the Towers dungeons. Like, the actors are always really on point, the effects are great. I've just always had a really fun experience going into that dungeon, and I think before it closes over the summer, I hope they might give us a date for that, but if not, I'll try and do like a last visit before it closes up, just because, again, despite the upcharge, it's always, to me, a good attraction. You know, it's always been fun, it's always been yeah, just always solid, just really solid. And even with, like, you know, new actors going in there, like, it's still been a really solid experience. But yeah, the whole thing with a scare attraction going in there, very interesting. It would be nice if, I mean, it would be nice if it was something new and something like, you know, it's a complete scare maze in there or whatever, but also at the same time, it would be nice if they kept it to the same theming and storyline of what the dungeons is. So it's almost like kind of like a dungeon extreme in a way. I know there's like the dungeon After Dark, and I did that once in York, but that just made it, I think it made it slightly scarier, but it's also that it just made it more like adult and a little bit ruder and stuff like that. It didn't really necessarily make it like proper scare attraction. I want this to be like a dungeon extreme version where it's like you have the same sort of characters, same sort of history and lore and stuff, and you know, basing it on, like, you know, real stories and stuff, but making it like scare attraction worthy. So, like, you know, making it a kind of walkthrough instead of just like sit down shows where it's like, you know, you're actually yeah, you know, like having a lot of really good scare techniques and new effects and maybe new theming pieces, new costumes. They actually, when they did the Plague Street back in 2019, which is kind of like the Scarefest thing they did, which was really cool, by the way, I wish they'd bring that back. They had like a Plague Doctor outfit which came out. Like, use that if you still have it. Like, that would be really good in a scare maze, because again, you know, as I always say, kind of the less human your characters look, the more scary they are. With Tiny's Revenge, I think it was still unnerving, but I think it was kind of less scary than the skin masks. But, you know, yeah, Plague Doctor mask, pretty creepy. Like, I know that in the London dungeon, when you walk along kind of like the Plague Street There you walk like through a plague street to get to the plague doctor, I believe, if I remember rightly. And yeah, there's like an animatronic plague doctor there, which is really unsettling and unnerving. And so I think having that in a scare maze, yeah, that'd be fantastic. You know, but again, we don't really know what it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be a scare maze, scare attraction, audio experience, who knows. But yeah, I think something maybe less like of a linear scare maze, more like of a kind of... I mean, to be honest, even if it was like a... I don't know, like almost like an immersive theatre experience. I mean, the dungeons in a way are immersive theatre attractions in a way, but like less of a linear scare maze, more kind of points where you get like stopped or you can like interact with things maybe. That'd be cool. But keeping the scare levels to it. I want it to be like a full-on scare attraction. Like, yeah, because to my knowledge, I believe Darkest Depths might be staying, so that'll still be like the family attraction. Now, I imagine Trick or Treat Town will still be staying, so that'll be the family attraction. Can't see Daz Gaines Panic going, and that's, despite it being extreme in some bits, is kind of still billed as kind of like a family thing, because of, you know, they got Daz Games in to try and make it appeal to kids. So you still got a good few, like, family attractions. I think really make this a really good, scary attraction. Then you've also still, I'm assuming Tiny's Revenge will stay. Yeah, I think, to my knowledge, the kind of plan was to keep, you know, to kind of rejuvenate it as Tiny's, to actually give Altonville a bit more longevity, you know, give it the new storyline, which does that. And then, yeah, maybe have a new scare maze as well. Like maybe have this dungeons one, maybe get a scare zone in if you can, and then maybe a new scare maze as well. Or maybe this will be the new scare maze, but I feel like making it into a different attraction. And if they could use the boat ride as well, what I've always wanted them to do is use the boat ride, but somehow have some of the actors on like the platforms on the sides, like where some of like the scenes and theming pieces are. I know that might be a bit like a health and safety nightmare in a way, but if they could do it, that would be really cool. Like they could literally just have like the lights turn on and there's like an actor right, you know, like right next to your boat or like towering over you. Like that'd be really cool. Then again, I know that could be like a health and safety nightmare with like, you know, making sure people don't rock the boat and stuff. You know, if they get scared, they might, you know, rock it too much and then it'll, you know, possibly capsize. I don't know, but yeah, that'd be really cool. I mean, then again, there are already scares on that ride, and people don't rock the boat so much that happens. So you know, hopefully that could work out. But yeah, really excited. I like how they're forward planning that so early on in advance. That's great. What else did they announce? I think they said they might mention the events lineup or something, that it was going to be a little bit more ambitious or whatever. A lot more foods places. I mean, with the new map that's been revealed and like the new kind of outlets in Forbidden Valley, it looks like they're really getting like a lot of food outlets, shops and stuff like that, which is great. I know there's been like kind of trademarks and stuff done for some new ones in X Sector, which is really cool. I'm thinking there might be more like kind of food trucks and stuff in a way, because I don't know how they'd be able to like fit so many new buildings. There's a lot that they've listed, so I'm thinking they might be like food trucks that are going to be really well themed and themed to X Sector, but they are going to be kind of like the ones that you get like for Mardi Gras on Food Street or for like Oktoberfest, Scarefest on the lawns, but a little bit more permanent and in X Sector, obviously. Because Forbidden Valley already has like a load of buildings for that anyway. X Sector doesn't really. It has like just chicken, and that's kind of it. So yeah, I think they're all going to be kind of like, they'll still make them kind of permanent, but they're going to be that kind of like food truck stall type of thing rather than full on buildings and stuff. The other thing they announced was merch, and especially some exclusive merch, which very excited about. Please bring back that Curse Alton Manor resin. The yeah, I think I mentioned it a few videos back. The one that like sold out in a day. I would love a chance to get that again because it's so cool. They also mentioned about a merch item that I think it's going to be very similar to the mark on the park, but they said it's going to be like a worldwide thing. A way to kind of like immortalize yourself with the park or something, which is apparently going to be worldwide. That'll be interesting to see what that is. I'm assuming it's going to be like a digital thing in a way, But yeah, that's cool. Um, maybe like a photo wall or something like that. I mean, they've already got one of them in Mutiny Bay, so maybe like doing a worldwide one of them, like a really big one somewhere. That'd be cool. But yeah, I think it's all sounding positive. Like, it's all sounding positive. It really sounds like... I mean, I listened to Bianca Sama on the radio the other day as well on I think it was BBC Radio Derby, and she just sounds like really passionate, enthusiastic, which is great, and really feels like she cares about the park. And even if she doesn't necessarily get everything right, because I don't think, even the most perfect people aren't going to get everything right, but I mean, for example, Coast Alton Manor, people complained about the dark sections on that, and so they were improved. Not everything's going to be perfect. Even the operations of things like Coast Alton Manor, even John Burton himself, isn't going to be perfect. So I don't really expect anyone to be perfect on these things. But I think as long as, like, the heart's in the right place, and I feel like with Bianca, her heart's definitely in the right place on this, and I feel like she really wants the best for the park. So yeah, really looking forward to all the big changes. I think, as I've kept saying, like, opening day is just going to be really good, just really fun. Hopefully I don't get too stressed by it, but yeah, should hopefully be nice. And I think, as I've said about, like, meeting up with Mike and Stace during the week, that'll be a nice little kind of thing to build me up to socialising again. That'll be good. That's all been confirmed now, which is great as well. Going to be there from the Wednesday to the Friday, so yeah, that'll be a nice thing to keep me busy during the week. So yeah, I'm probably not going to have as many videos. I'm probably going to get this one done and uploaded, and then I'll be with them for most of the week, and then obviously I'll have Towers on the Saturday, then on the Sunday, I believe David's staying over here, so it depends how long they stay over. Yeah, if they leave, like, early enough, then I might start the edit on the vlog, because yeah, the vlog will definitely be the next video. I'm hoping to try and get it out in a timely manner. I'm thinking that maybe Wednesday next week. That's an optimistic view. Tuesday, Wednesday. It really just depends when I can start that editing. But it depends how long the edit's going to take. I mean, it's going to be a full-on day, because it's going to be they've got, like, the After Dark event on, so yeah, it's going to be a very, very full-on day, very long day, and it's probably going to be a lot to cover as well. So yeah, it may take quite a while to edit, but it's definitely not going to be like next day. I'm not one of these people who, like, works kind of overnight on the same night to try and get it up the next morning. It's like it's going to be up when it's up, but I'm thinking maybe like midweek. On the week after that weekend, I guess, the Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Optimistically, the Tuesday would be nice, but yeah, just try and get it out. Hopefully maybe try and get a few more subscribers with it as well. Yeah, because I managed, weirdly on the Minecraft one, I managed to get like 2 more subscribers, so I got to 90 subscribers, then today I checked it and it's gone back down to 89. Again, I don't know why the subscribers keep, like, fluctuating up and down, but yeah, I'm really close to 100, so, it'd be nice to get to it. But as I say, it never, I'm not like, ooh, subscribe now. Like, I'm just, it's why at the end of my videos I never put, like, a like, subscribe, comment, whatever. It's just, yeah, it's all fun for me. It's all just kind of like, not really taken seriously. It's why I don't really care about copyright claims or anything like that, or, any of that jazz. It's just, yeah, just doing this because I want to do it. And, if I get some subscribers along the way, that'll be great. If one day I could get some videos monetized, that's great too, but if not, don't really care. Yes, as long as it's keeping me busy, and yeah, as I said in the last PowerWash video, kind of having it be like a little resume of me. So yeah, that's all I can really say about Towers. What else can I talk about? I mean, I can't really even talk about therapy at this point, because I haven't had my next therapy appointment. That's going to be on in a couple of days, on Monday. I mean, the behavioural activation's going pretty well, to be honest. Not perfect, but certainly much better than the week before. So I think we can definitely move on with the next activity to add into that next week, which is good. And especially since I'll be doing less editing anyway, and less kind of video production anyway. Yeah, I think it would be good to add something else in. But yeah, probably on the hygiene side of things. But yeah, you know, it's all going well. I think definitely feeling relative. It's a bit difficult for me to know when I'm feeling better. Partially just because when you're stuck in a rut for so long, it's you know, you kind of get a bit clouded by all that. But also just it's very hard for me to accept that I'm not depressed. Partially because it just feels like if I'm not depressed, then it's almost like I don't need help anymore, and I still do feel like I need help and support and stuff, you know. And so, yeah, it's very hard to sometimes I think it's very hard to know who I am without the depression in a way. Like it's come to identify me quite a bit. And so yeah, you know, it's very hard to know and kind of admit when I'm feeling better. But yeah, you know, I think I've been a little bit better. I mean, on the chart that I've been keeping track of, I've had no rumination this week. A few little points of low mood, but that's been very situational. But yeah, no rumination, which is kind of a little bit annoying because I need something to practice the rumination techniques on. And yeah, I'm not ruminating. I don't really have anything to practice it on. God, look at this. Look how clean this looks now. Compared to it's really satisfying to see like how clean these areas look compared to the dirt. But yeah, yeah, you know, I think definitely improving, but it is very slow improvement. Which, to be honest, I prefer. Like, I prefer that it's nice, slow, gradual improvement. Nice little, you know, nice little improvements and stuff. I just realised it's the Ukraine colours as well. Solidarity with Ukraine. In PowerWash Simulator. But yeah, doing better. I think it's just also just keeping busy as well. You know, keeping busy, but not like trying to pressure myself too much. You know, pressure. No, it's a power washer, not a pressure washer. God damn it, I ruined the joke. Yeah, you know, just trying to keep myself busy, trying not to put on too much pressure or anything. And it's also been really nice to connect with more people, kind of like on Twitter and stuff. With I think I mentioned in the was it in the Minecraft video? Yeah, that I put a tweet up about like, you know, what people are looking forward to at Alton Towers, trying to spread some positivity. And yeah, the amount of responses that I've got from that and other things as well has been really nice. And yeah, that's what makes me like a little bit more kind of looking forward to opening day as well, because I think some of the people who I've been talking to online might see on opening day. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more kind of like trying to say hi, maybe even just like wave at people to get their attention, or I don't know, just smile and wave.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
And hope that might get them to say hi to me. I don't know. But yeah, because I think like people always say like, you know, they're fine with like, you know, people coming up and saying hi to them, but it's still really hard to like make that first step, I feel like. So yeah, but it'll be nice. Hopefully chill. Oh, hello, Phoebe's here. I don't know whether you can see her because she's in the dark. She's literally just right here on the chair. Hello? What do you want? Do you want me to let you out of the room? Or are you just going to sit there and be adorable? Hello. She's adorable. She's a bit vicious at times, but she's adorable. Yeah. I hope you can see her on the camera. I'm not sure. I mean, the problem is it's a dark room as well, and all you'll probably see is just a couple of little beady eyes. Yeah, she's adorable. Really cute. And so fluffy, too. But, yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, I was talking about, like, yeah, nice interactions and stuff. Yeah, that's been a nice little positive thing. I've also been watching recently, I mean, I've been continuing my Doctor Who marathon, which has been good. Finally got to the end of the 3rd Doctor era, so I'm on to the 4th Doctor one next. Oh, here we go. From Harpshire. Did you hear that the mayor's cat, Ulysses, is missing? Not you, Ulysses. Not you, cat. The whole town's on the lookout for him in time for the festival. We won't have spring till he's put that hat on. To be honest, if I had to wear that hat, I'd go missing. So they can't start spring without the cat wearing a hat. It's the cat in the hat. But yeah, I've finished 3rd Doctor's era, on to 4th Doctor's era. Finished with the Planet of Spiders. A surprisingly good episode, actually. It's well, story. There's the difference between episodes and stories, because yeah, and then classic Doctor Who, each kind of story has multiple parts to it, so multiple episodes. So I always say kind of like the story's like the full thing, and then the episodes are like the individual parts of it. And then obviously modern Doctor Who has stories that are one episode long. But yeah, it's a really good story that kind of goes into a little bit more kind of like Gallifreyan Time Lord lore in a way, which is really cool. And also just really action packed as well for the third Doctor's final story. So yeah, that was cool. After a few kind of dud episodes, I had Death to the Daleks and Monster of Peladon, which Monster of Peladon isn't too bad. It's just not as good as Curse of Peladon, and people who aren't Doctor Who fans are gonna have no idea what I'm talking about. But and then Death to the Daleks, it's just I feel like the problem is the third Doctor doesn't really have any really good Dalek stories in his era, and the Daleks are just never really threatening in his era. I mean, luckily the next Dalek story I'll watch is Genesis of the Daleks, which is just classic. Like my favourite story is Greatest Show in the Galaxy, which is a 7th Doctor era one. But I think just because it's my favourite doesn't mean it's the best. You know, I think the best is kind of like which is the most popular, which one's the most successful. Favourite's more just my personal favourite. But yeah, I've got to admit, Genesis of the Daleks is just solid. Like it's just a really good story. Can't really see much wrong with it. You know, Michael Wisher as Davros, fantastic. Can't wait to get back to it. But yeah, so that's going well, that marathon. But I'm also watching something on YouTube. Well, it wasn't originally on YouTube. It's been re-uploaded there, called Mischief Movie Night In, which is by the people who did things like The Play That Goes Wrong, The Goes Wrong Show, Mischief Theatre, which is essentially it's an improv show that was done like during the pandemic. I mean, normally it's like a stage show, but they kind of streamed it live during the pandemic. You know, when they couldn't do shows and stuff. But yeah, they've all been re-uploaded to YouTube now, so I'm watching through it, and they're so funny. Because, you know, it's all improv, it's all in the moment, and like the Goes Wrong projects, they do like the Goes Wrong show and Play That Goes Wrong. Yeah, a lot of stuff goes wrong, and it's really funny. And you have this like kind of movie critic guy called Osco, basically, kind of like he's the one who's kind of in charge of everything, and but yeah, he keeps like kind of criticising all the actors and stuff throughout it, and it's hilarious, honestly. So that's been something that's yeah, been giving me a bit of joy recently, so that's good. Yeah, it's nice to put on my little chart when I'm happy, and then most of the rest of the time. I mean, the problem is I can't remember whether I mentioned this in one of the previous videos, but with the therapy as well, I kept like putting things as neutral as the feeling on the kind of mood and activity links chart, and I kept because I kept putting neutral, I need to try and find like different emotions to kind of go a bit more specific with it. And so my therapist gave me a list of emotions, and it was the problem is it's very overwhelming because it's like a really long and comprehensive list. But yeah, I've tried to go into that a little bit more. But even then, there's just moments where it's just like I'm kind of like passive, like I don't really feel anything really. It's not necessarily numb. I think there's a difference between feeling numb and passive. You know, like for example, if I was like washing the dishes, for an example, you wouldn't really feel like kind of, you know, you feel kind of passive with that, you know, because it's just a general menial task that you have to do. But then there are moments where you might feel numb, where you don't have like any emotion, you feel, and it feels kind of like almost kind of like very claustrophobic in a way, very low energy, stuff like that. I feel that's where the difference is, in a way, but it's very kind of hard to feel that difference between kind of numb and neutral, or numb and passive, in a way sometimes. So that's been a bit of a challenge, but you know, it's nice to have a little mix of emotions and stuff. Yeah. What shall I talk about next? Walton Files? I could talk about that. The fact that I copped out on Welcome to Bong's Burgers. Yeah, I just, as I said in that video, I just don't think I would have enjoyed it, and it would have just been very difficult for me to record, and yeah, I just really wasn't feeling it in the moment. So then I just went on to the main series and really enjoyed starting that off. And as I say, the more interesting stuff and all the canon stuff as well is in the main series. So yeah, that's the better kind of thing to go on to. So yeah, really glad that I could do that. Where am I missing? There we go. It's right under there. Get all this grime. There we go. Why am I in green? There we go. I should be on yellow. There we go. But yeah, I'm really liking the Walton Files stuff. I've still been seeing like little spoilers and stuff for the Walton Files 4, the latest upload. I don't know what's happening with 5 and 6 though, because originally I thought that they were meant to be pushed forward to coming out in February, but I don't believe they've come out yet. The only other thing I can think of is that they are like unlisted videos with links, kind of like secret links and stuff in the video for parts 4 and 5. Possibly, but I feel like that would be a bit weird to, like, you know, kind of gatekeep those ones in a way. But you know, hopefully by the time I actually get around to the Walton Files 4, maybe the Walton Files 5 and 6 will be out. I believe Walton Files 4 is called Cyberfun Tech, which is the company that creates the animatronics. The 5th one, Walton Files 5, is called Faces of Grief, I believe. That's a really cool name. Sounds like a Legend of Zelda name for like a, you know, like it wasn't like Faces of Evil, like the CDI game or something that they did. So yeah, Faces of Grief. And then the 6th one, I can't remember. I think it had someone's name in it. I can't remember. But yeah, you know, that'll be cool to cover. And I mean, I've got a lot of videos to get through before that anyway. So yeah, you know, I'm fine with it not coming out straight away. Also, that means I can hopefully avoid more spoilers. So that's good if I can do that. But yeah, it's a really good series, and you know, if you've watched that video, you can already see like some of the really kind of disturbing art style and stuff coming out, and it gets way more disturbing. Like Walton Files 3 is quite a long one, Bunny Farm, that episode, but it's got some like really disturbing, not just disturbing in like the art style and stuff and the sound design, but just disturbing in like content as well. Which yeah, it's really exciting. And from one of the deaths I've heard about in the Walton Files 4, it's a really graphic death, which I'm kind of very excited to see, because I'm very sadistic. It's just I just like that kind of stuff. I just really like the stuff that Martin Morse has done. I think he's a very talented young man. Surprisingly younger than me as well. Because there's so many people I've been so surprised that they're older than me. Sorry, not older than me, that they're the same age as me. Like Jack Silkstone, same age as me. Shocking. I don't know whether I've talked about this before either, but yeah, Jack Silkstone, same age as me. Really shocking. Like, not saying that he looks like an old man or anything. I just thought like he was more like in his late 20s rather than early 20s like me. Like, crazy. Also, Chloe, the one I know from Altonville, yeah, same age as me as well. I think it's just also just seeing people who've got kind of like their life together in a way makes me feel like they're older, because it's like they're more fully functioning human beings while I'm just like complete wreck. So that's why, you know, I do not feel like an adult. I feel very like immature. I have the mental age of a 4-year-old, for God's sake, but a mentally scarred 4-year-old, but still 4-year-old all the same. But yeah, it's crazy how some people are the same age or near to the same age as me. It's like Nathan as well, for example. He's younger than me. Like NF Attractions, Nathan FF. Yeah, I'll stop saying that bit. But yeah, he's younger than me, which is crazy. Yeah, because I would have thought he was at least near my age, but no, way younger. So yeah. God, I'm 24 now. Oh, and here's my favourite colour as well, teal. Or at least it looks kind of teal. I kind of like a darker version of this. Yeah, because teal comes in like a lot of shades and stuff. But yeah, love teal. Really good colour. Second favourite colour is purple. So yeah, if you want to do anything teal and purple, let me know. Yeah, just a cool colour, you know. Like I always thought, because normally like a lot of my aesthetic is like kind of, you know, dark stuff, you know, dark shadow, obviously. But yeah, if I was ever going to bring colour into my life, I think definitely teal would be one of the colours. I think teal and purple, you know. Maybe get like, with like the long black coat I have, maybe get like a teal coat and purple boots or something. I did actually have some purple boots at one point. which were women's boots, because they fit. Well, things they fit, but the problem is they weren't like made for like. Ironically, they were not boots that were made for walking.
These boots are made for walking.
So they weren't really made for like, you know, walking for long periods of time, and so yeah, they all kind of like shredded basically at one point, you know, kind of like the soles on them all shredded. So yeah, now I've got like some black sort of sneaker trainer, I think sneakers, I'm not American. But yeah, some kind of like black trainer things which take way too long to tie up, like, and to untie. You know, I'm stuck there for like 5-10 minutes just trying to bloody untie my laces every time I take them off or put them on. Yeah. God, I've run out of conversations to have. This is why I need this thing that I was thinking about to get some more conversations going throughout the videos. Oh, there's something. Hyperia's last piece has been put in. Again, I'm still not that hyped. I think this is the thing. I think the ride will be good, but I need some storyline and theming. And I know that, you know, obviously they're not at that point of putting that in yet, but it's like, I need some storyline to be hyped a little bit. And like, I think it might be because with Nemesis, they kind of started with some of the storyline with that quite early. You know, I mean, like, really, starting from kind of like Scarefest time, 2022, they kind of started like with some of the storyline and stuff. And with Hyperion, there's been little bits and pieces, but nothing like very specific. I think it's because with Nemesis, we already knew some of the storyline. You know, we knew about the Phalanx, we knew about the general idea of the creature. With Hyperion, we don't know anything, so I think they're trying to like keep a lot of it under wraps. But the problem is that, ironically, doesn't build hype for Hyperia. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm a very storyline heavily focused person, like, you know, ride experience, yeah, that's part of it. You know, obviously it's part of the reason why Nemi hasn't really been the biggest thing for me. But it's why I'm more excited about this new version, because not only does it have really good storyline, it's also hopefully going to be more comfortable. So, yeah, you know, I'm sure it'll be like a really good experience. And I think, you know, when I see it in person, it'll probably look amazing, you know, because it'll be like, you know, probably the biggest ride I've ever seen. But yeah, I'm just not hyped right now. And again, my issues with Thorpe Park, which I think I will be fine with them at one point. It's just I just need to visit more. I probably won't be visiting for a good while. I mean, depending when Hyperia opens, I might see if I can visit on or near opening day, but to be honest, I can wait. And it just depends on money, you know, and whether I, you know, time, whether I have a job by that point. I don't know, I might. Yeah. I mean, really, on job stuff, it's more, I'm trying to focus really heavily on the CBT at the moment, really focus heavily on getting the behavioural activation in, and then part of that behavioural activation, one of the behaviours will be job searching. So, yeah, so I'm hoping that I can get that into place at some point, but I'm focusing at the moment on the YouTube stuff, hygiene, hopefully that might also help with sleep, and then job search can then be a thing that I add later on, especially with, like, you know, I've got a fit note in for kind of like my universal credit work coach and stuff, so that takes a little bit of stress off that, and then, you know, also now I actually have some universal credit in, so at least I actually have some money I can pay for keep or board to my parents, so, you know, at least that kind of responsibility is kind of gone a little bit now, which means I can focus on the therapy and then focus on, you know, the job search. And even then, I think I might try and look for something in volunteering before I look for a job, because I was given some links from my work coach about volunteering work and stuff. I just think that'd be a good place to start, and then at least I can get some experience, some stuff to put on my CV, you know, and get me used to be honest, just get me used to working in a work environment, to be honest. And then, yeah, you know, kind of with less stress, because I think I've always thought that with volunteering it would be like the same sort of levels of work and stress, you just don't get paid, but I feel like it is more that it is a little bit more flexible, like with the hours you can do, a little bit more flexible with, you know, the types of work that you do, the roles you do, and, you know, you can do a little bit more of what you want to do and what you feel you're able to do, obviously still working, but like, for example, if I was to work in a charity shop, for example, which is obviously the main one that most people think of, instead of working on the till, or instead of working, you know, on like a customer service desk, working on shelf stacking, working on, you know, unpacking deliveries and stuff, or donations or whatever. Yeah, you know, kind of organising the shelves, stuff like that. I'd be much more comfortable with that than being on, like, you know, stressful till or whatever. So, you know, but it means I can still get some experience. While I feel like in main jobs, I may not get the choice for that in a way. Like, I'd have to do something on the tills. I'd have to do something in customer service rather than just shelf stacking. I would be more than happy doing shelf stacking, or, you know, unpacking deliveries and stuff like that, you know, or like a boring admin job behind a desk. Like, I'd much rather do something that's boring right now rather than something that's like stressful, because I don't need that right now. And even then, when I do go from the volunteering to actually job searching, I'll eventually I'll start off part-time, and not just go straight into full-time. No, start off part-time, you know, do what I need to do, and then slowly build that up and build up my hours till, yeah, doing a full-time job like normal people do. I am going to have a little bit of a drink because I am thirsty. Also going to try and go a little bit further away from the mic now as well, because I feel like you're going to get like ASMR of me just like slurping this drink. Yeah, God, talking really does make your throat go, doesn't it? Yeah. I hope all these videos are entertaining for you guys, by the way. I mean, it's just, as I say, it's me kind of just doing the stuff that I'm interested in. And if anyone else wants to join on that journey, be my guest. But if you don't, that's fine too. I understand not everyone's interested in the same stuff I'm interested in. And I imagine probably I'm not interested in most of the things that my viewers are interested in as well, you know. So, you know, I know there might be a lot of people who just come for the theme park stuff, but it's like, yeah, you know, I like other things too. So, I just do them on the channel to keep me busy. And it seems to be working, because as I say, this week I'd say so far I don't think there's been any rumination, which has been good. And definitely more productive as well. I'd say third video I'm recording this week, so definitely more productive. God, what else has happened recently? Nothing more really with Blackpool Pleasure Beach or anything else there. And I'm not going to go into like politics and stuff too heavily, because that's not fun. God, I don't really know. I can see how Phoebe's doing. How are you doing, Phoebe? You're just sitting there. I'm really sad that you're just sitting there and watching me. You alright? No kiss? There we go. Yeah, give me a kiss. There we go. Can't think of anything else to talk about. This is going to be 20 minutes of me doing this now. Trying to think if there's anything more like towers related or anything. Maybe something like the new theming and stuff. I mean, I heard, oh yeah, that was it, yeah, on the radio thing that Bianca Sammet was on, she was questioned about that apparently something might be happening in Dark Forest, which is new, which I just thought, like, has that been rumoured? Because I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, unless they were talking about Hex, but that's kind of like outside of Dark Forest, so, yeah. I don't really know why that would be considered a thing. I mean, unless there is something happening in Dark Forest, but yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, yeah, to my knowledge, yeah, I don't really know anything that's been happening in Dark Forest. So that's the end of that conversation thread. What else? Oh, yeah, I mean, another thing she kind of said as well was in that statement that she made was, I think Phoebe wants to go out. Excuse me for a moment.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
There we go. Phoebe has been let out now. I think that's why she was sitting on the chair. She just wanted me to let her out. And and then Winnie was waiting at the door, so I made sure that she didn't come in, because normally when I'm on my PC, I don't like Winnie coming in, because otherwise she'll literally sit right behind my chair, and I'm always worried that I'm just going to like push my chair back and, I don't know, like roll over a tail or something, so yeah, don't let her in here while I'm recording. And even though she'll probably come in for like 5 minutes and then leave, so there's not really much point. But yeah, like I was saying, Bianca Sama in the statement, she also mentioned about the pirate event and the fact that that's kind of like a sign of the events to come, and I think that's kind of what I might have said in the vlog I did, I can't remember, but yeah, like, kind of, yeah, if the pirate event, you know, it's not a massive event, but it is, yeah, it was a really good quality event, and yeah, if that's going to show kind of the quality of the events to come, then I'm really excited, because yeah, it's going to be really awesome. The other thing I thought about is I've been playing Animal Crossing, so that's nice. I've got to the point where the town hall's been made, and we're trying to get, is it KK Slider or something? The kind of like dog musician character, they're trying to get him for like for a concert or something, so we have to try and attract more residents to the island. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing in that, donating fish and bugs and stuff to Blathers in the museum. Yeah, just completing the Nuke Miles Plus stuff. Yeah, that's again, I really need to get like more topics and stuff and tangents. Like I mentioned, I haven't really been playing much more. I've opened the Wonder Woman pack, so which I thought had more abilities with it, but it actually doesn't. It only really has like the hypnotism ability, and that's really it. So yeah, I'm slowly getting through that. But this is the thing with the schedule that I have now, like the morning and afternoon are for YouTube stuff at the moment, and then in the evening it's kind of my own time. But like the other day I had a shower as well in the evenings, that kind of took up my whole evening. And then I like to play Animal Crossing before I do any LEGO Dimensions stuff, and so depends how long that takes, and so yeah, so that's been very kind of in and out. Hopefully I can keep up with it though, that'd be good. Be nice to finally actually complete the game for once. But yeah, what else to talk about? The first thing that comes to my mind, the Wonka experience. Really don't know why, because that feels kind of like old news now, but yeah, the thing that was in Glasgow, or as Americans would say, Glasgow. I just find that funny. I like Americans pronounce British things. Like how do they pronounce Edinburgh? It's like Edinburgh or something, or Loughborough would be like lowbrow. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that whole thing that happened in Glasgow, and it's kind of weird with it, because it's like, yeah, it was kind of a shit situation for everyone involved, because it's like, you know, obviously the public, very unhappy, but also like the actors probably had to go through some like really shit stuff with it. But I feel like it's also something where a lot of people have been saying that they really want to experience this just because of how terrible it is. But, you know, it kind of was a scam, you know, it seems like it really was a scam in a way, so it was done for malicious intent. Like, I think if someone else took that idea and actually made it a good, worthwhile experience for a reasonable price, like, yeah, that'd be a really cool thing, and a way to kind of, like, make, like, a positive out of a negative situation in a way, and, like, maybe even hire some of the actors back on to do that. Yeah, that'd be cool, you know. It was nice to see as well on TikTok, the, actress who played the Unknown, which I love that character, by the way. Yeah, that she kind of came on, did like a face reveal and stuff like that, and yeah, talked about her experience, and just seeing some of like the actors' experiences in the way, like, I feel really sorry for them in a way, because yeah, I can't imagine like how difficult it must have been on that day dealing with it. And so like being given like the scripts the night before as well, it's all like AI generated and stuff. It's just, yeah, not great. But yeah, I feel like the thing with it was like the actual props and stuff they had weren't the issue. Like, I think the props and stuff actually looked pretty good. Like, they had like a big like entryway and stuff, a load of like big massive props, which I think were pretty good quality. I think the problem was the spacing of them wasn't great. Like they were in like a very kind of sporadically spaced out. Wasn't really, you know, organised in a really good way. So yeah, like I think that was a problem. And like the fact that like all the walls were like tarpaulin and stuff, and yeah, so that was the issue with it. Really, I don't really think it was necessarily like the choice of props and stuff. It was more just the fact that they weren't really arranged great. The lighting wasn't great. They didn't really like hide any of like the building interior bits in a way. It was all, I think kind of like the ending of it was literally just like a bouncy castle. You got like a jelly bean and a half a cup of lemonade or something. So yeah, I think just the price as well. Like even if it was a bit better, I think 35 quid, really not worth it. Like, you know, like for example, like the Alton Towers dungeon, that's like a 45-minute experience, and like normal ticket price for that is like 11 quid, I think. But yeah, you know, like, so I don't really see why something like this was like 35. I mean, I see why it's broke because it was a scam, but yeah, just a bit of a shit situation, really. And now I've run out of tangent for that conversation. God. Yeah, there hasn't really been much Doctor Who news either recently. It's maybe just waiting for the next series to come out, I think. I think it's coming out in May, I think. Yeah, so that'll be cool when we start seeing trailers and stuff for that. Any films come out recently? I went to go and see that Migration recently. I wasn't really able to concentrate though much because I was just really tired on that day. Yeah, it seemed fine, to be honest. I don't really know if I'd have like a different opinion if I'd actually been able to concentrate on it better, but yeah, it was fine. Like it seemed like a lot of the stuff in the trailers like kind of revealed what was going to happen in the movie already, which means that there wasn't really much surprise or anything. Like, you know, kind of just seemed like a lot of it was very predictable in a way. You know, it's fine. You know, fine film about birds. Bad! Have I talked about Wonka much on the channel? I don't think I have. Yeah, Wonka's a great film. It's genuinely become kind of like my feel-good film in a way. Like, it's just really good. Like, and I wasn't expecting it to be that good as well. Like, yeah, I was expecting it just to be really like meh, like, you know, kind of like most kind of like reboots and stuff are, you know, it was just gonna be not great. But to be honest, I watched I rewatched like the original Gene Wilder version, and then I think I've rewatched Wonka and then I watched the Gene Wilder version, and yeah, I definitely prefer Wonka. Like, I just think it's got like the Gene Wilder version is good, but I feel like Wonka has a bit more of like a feel good vibe to it. And it feels the only thing I'd say, which isn't really necessarily like a I can't remember whether I actually talked about this on the channel as well, because I'm getting kind of like deja vu with it. But yeah, the only thing I would say is that I feel like if it was a I feel like it would be a little bit better if it was actually an on-stage musical. Like, it really suits being an on-stage musical, I feel like. I mean, I know there's already a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory stage musical, but yeah, I feel like if it was a an on-stage musical, maybe add a couple more songs. I think a song for Scrub It and Bleacher would have been nice, because there is like the song Scrub Scrub, I think, which, yeah, you know, is about their establishment, but not specifically from them. So, you know, I think it would have been really good to have a song with that. Maybe another song with the villains as well. That would have been good. Like Slugworth and that lot. Maybe have another song with them. But yeah, I just think the music's great in it. The comedy's great in it. Really, the characters as well. The acting, just yeah, all really, really good. Yeah, I love watching it. Because I feel like the Super Mario movie was a very similar kind of thing with that, but I feel like that was less of a feel-good movie, more just like a chill-out movie in a way, like a movie where you could just like switch your brain off and not really have to like think about it. So yeah, I went to go and see that a few times because of that. But yeah, just Wonka, really feel good, really cool. I'll probably definitely have to get it on Blu-ray at some point, so I can watch it completely legally, which I'm definitely doing now. Yeah. God, really run out of conversations. I'll need to do like a counter of how many times I say I've run out of conversations. I probably can't be bothered to do that, can I? So I probably won't. Yeah, yeah, because I can't even talk about Scarcity, because we haven't even done another episode on that yet. I think it might probably be a good idea to do that, the next episode of that once the timer's gone down on Libsyn for the storage, which means once we've recorded it and I've edited it, it can be uploaded pretty much straight away. Makes it a bit more timely. Also, it'd be good to get it probably up after opening day, because even though there's not really necessarily any scare attractions on opening day, I mean, I don't know, like Nemesis' storyline's a bit scary, I guess, so maybe that could count as scare attraction. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably do Curse on opening day. I'm hoping that I do Curse on opening day, because I miss it so much. I think I'll definitely have to visit the Coach House Confectionery to get some black vanilla ice cream. I think if that resin's there as well, I'll just have to bite the bullet and just get it, you know. I really want it. Depending on how much depending on how much I bought on the day, and depending how much I like Nemi Inferno, Nemi Reborn, I may have to get a t-shirt. I might get a pin, but yeah, I'll definitely, yeah, I think it's in the Minecraft video, like, you know how much I like it if I get a t-shirt. Yeah, should be fun though. I think I need to like write down conversation. I think even though I write down conversation starters though, I'm still gonna run out, is the thing. Because yeah, there just isn't really much else to really talk about. I mean, I guess the only other thing would help if I had like someone else to kind of like bounce off of. But yeah, there's not really much else to talk about. I just realised this counts this as green floor. See, I guess, I don't know, green. I mean, I guess teal's kind of like a shade of green. It's like a bluey green, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, got no other conversations to talk about. Maybe other analog horror stuff, because I was talking about Walton Files earlier. I saw there were other ones that I was thinking that I could do possibly after Walton Files. There was, because I know there's a Mandela Catalogue, which is a very popular one, which, I mean, I could do. I think that one's, it's like, it builds up to jump scares, but then the jump scares are really, or at least in the 2 episodes that I've seen, because I know there's been more. But yeah, in the 2 episodes I've seen, yeah, the jump scare's kind of like, it builds up the tension for a jump scare, and the jump scare's kind of very anticlimactic. So it has really good kind of like tension building, and the jump scares are just very kind of meh. But then again, there's something like Battington, for an example, the Harmony and Horror series, which, yeah, I find the jump scares way too intense, because it's stuff like running at the camera and stuff, which I absolutely hate, and cannot deal with. It's why Walton Files, it's got a couple of times when that happens, but it's not too intense. Right, Mayor Jefferson the 8th, I think that's 8th. Howdy Dirt Finder, or Howdy Dirt Finder, I'm going to give him a voice. Howdy Dirt Finder, oh. Try that again. Where are you? There we go. Howdy Dirt Finder, 3rd time's a charm. Put everything on hold, my golf buggy's soiled like you wouldn't believe. Yeehaw. Try and make it more interesting. Oh, there we go. Doc gave your details to a colleague who needs a hand with her new place in the suburbs. It's the old Diath. The old Diath, I'm assuming it's meant to mean death, place. So I hope you don't get spooked too easily. Okay, that's cool. I think that might be like a mansion place that we're meant to clean. I know there's kind of like 2 kind of mansiony areas, but the other one I'm thinking of I thought came later in the game. But yeah, it might be the one we need like the long range nozzle, I think. Well, I've been recording for an hour now, so I'm hoping I don't have to split this one into 2 parts. It'd be nice just to get this all done in one. I mean, we're up to 40% so far. God, if this might be a long one. Still got all that bit of floor to do as well. Yeah, other analog horror, yeah, there's like the Harmony and Horror Battington stuff, can't deal with. I like the storyline with it, it looks like a really cool storyline, it's just a shame I can't deal with the jump scares. But maybe one day, as I say, like the more kind of horror and analog horror I get into, the more I might be able to deal with it. Yeah, this is the small nozzle, there we go, so we have to use this to clear up this grime. Another analog horror is the Man in the Suit, which is a really cool one, which is like a it's based on like the old Godzilla films. It's the idea that the man in the Godzilla suit, he kind of fuses with the suit in a way and becomes like a weird creature, which is really cool and interesting. And then he bites other people in other costumes, and they become creatures in suits, and yeah, they all go out terrorizing people. So that's a fun one. But again, it's kind of one of those ones where it's like, it's not too jump scary. It's more kind of, yeah, very kind of building up tension, very disturbing imagery, very disturbing sound effects. A lot of kind of like secret mystery solving and lore and stuff, which is really cool. I believe there's another one called Monument Mythos, which is, yeah, which is a really cool, it's to do with like different kind of like well, monuments and stuff. So there's I believe there's an episode on like the Statue of Liberty, the one on the Mount Rushmore, one on maybe Eiffel Tower, I'm not sure, but essentially where like kind of weird goings on happen at each of these locations. And yeah, again, just really creepy analog horror vibe, which is really awesome. Another kind of conversation starter I could think about was another thing I'd want to cover on the channel eventually, is nuclear war stuff, because there's like a load of nuclear war stuff that I'm into. And obviously not the idea of nuclear war, you know, obviously I'm completely against nuclear war, because it would be awful. Because this is the problem, right? You know, I think a lot of people like think of like, you know, nuclear war as like, oh, you know, it'd be bad or whatever. But it's like the fact that I know everything in such detail and depth of how it would work, it just makes it even more like disturbing and horrifying in a way. Like if it did happen, like I can actually envision what would happen in a nuclear war. I mean, you just hope that you'd just be gone quickly, wouldn't you? To be honest, like which to be fair, I'm not very far from crew stations, so and that'd probably be quite a big target. I mean, in the in one of the films called Threads, which is essentially like, I'd say probably one of the most accurate depictions of a nuclear war that you can get. In film form, and yeah, one of the places that gets hit is Crew Station. I'm literally like just down the road from it, so I'm not going to try and dox myself too much, but yeah, it's literally within walking distance, and it's like, yeah, very very scary. But then again, you'd hope at that point the blast would be enough to just like wipe you out instantly at that point if it ever did happen. But yeah, I mean, I always kind of think like it's, as long as we have nuclear weapons, it's very possible that, you know, a nuclear war could happen, but I don't think the likelihood is very high. Like, even with some of the conflicts going on at the moment, I just think a lot of the world leaders just aren't stupid enough to use it. I think they're fine to threaten nuclear weapons, but I just don't really think they're stupid enough to use them. I think the one person who was stupid enough to use them would possibly have been Donald Trump, so if he ever gets back in, then yeah, I would be worried. But yeah, I just think, like, yes, they use as a threat, they use as like a, you know, mutually assured destruction, which ironically the initials for that is MAD, which, yeah, mutually assured destruction, it is MAD. Like, you'd be safe if you just didn't have the nuclear weapons, but yeah, I just don't really think any world leader's stupid enough to use them. Like, yeah, you know, because they know that it would mean, you know, ultimate annihilation. So, yeah, but yeah, like some of the stuff I'd want to cover is things like Threads, like When the Wind Blows, the War Game, not the War Games, which is a Doctor Who episode story. Really good story actually in Doctor Who, that 10-parter. Really solid. It's the second Doctor's final story. Really good, really solid story. But yeah, the War Game is essentially like, it's one like kind of the first kind of nuclear war kind of film things, which is essentially kind of like a precursor to Threads in a way, because it was it was kind of the thing that inspired Threads, because it actually got banned in a lot of places, the war game, because I talked about it in the Hat Green visit, didn't I? We'll have to do that again at some point if Joe's ever up this way. But it's essentially kind of like a documentary style thing from like the 1965. Essentially like a documentary style thing going over what would happen in the events of a nuclear war. But it's I think the problem was it was so shocking at the time that it got banned, because I believe people it got to the point where people were actually taking their own lives because of seeing the war game, and so it only got showed at like particular screenings and stuff, and it wasn't released like publicly. Now you can find it. I think it's on archive.org. I think it's on there. You might be able to find clips on YouTube and stuff. And at Hat Green Nuclear Bunker, they do show the war game on a loop in the theatre. I would say it's kind of less subtle than Threads, more kind of shocking, and also it's less accurate as well. Like, because it was in the 1960s, it's kind of less accurate about some of the facts and statistics and stuff. And also, there's like bits, for example, where like executions happen and stuff like that, and they're literally like putting people out of their misery by like literally like, you know, having them lying down on the pavement corner and just like shooting them in the head. And I feel like a lot of that stuff wouldn't necessarily have happened in the 80s when Threads happened, but even like now, I don't think a lot of that stuff would happen. Like also like executions and stuff, I don't know whether that would happen nowadays. But yes, and then Threads is essentially kind of like a more in-depth, more kind of like dramatized version of that, where it's like you basically kind of like follow this couple called Ruth and Jimmy and Ruth, who they're gonna have a baby, then it shows kind of a month before a nuclear war happens, and then 13 years after the nuclear war happens, and essentially what happens, you know, to the world, what happens to society. I think that's kind of the scariest thing sometimes about nuclear war, not necessarily like all the damage and destruction, but what happens to society. Society would completely break down, you know, you'd lose a lot of power stations, you'd lose like a lot of, you know, electricity, Wi-Fi, signal, all that kind of stuff, you know, you'd lose a lot of infrastructure, you know, a lot of food production, stuff like, you know, and just like the general kind of like norms of society would all be gone, you know, gone in an instant. So yeah, terrifying. I'll probably say Threads is probably the scariest film I've ever seen. Not because it's like too jump scary, more just it's so real. Like it's a really realistic depiction, I feel like, of nuclear war. I mean, some people said like the kind of the 13 years after the nuclear attack that goes into a little bit of like science fiction, but I don't know. I feel like it is still pretty plausible. I mean, yes, it is guesswork, but a lot of kind of like scientific research went into it as well. And in a way, I'd kind of like love to see like a modern version of Threads with like, you know, taking into account modern weapons, taking into account, you know, kind of modern conflicts and what would happen in those situations. I guess the problem is that I think a lot of people would think with the power of the weapons we have now, it would all be wiped out instantly. You know, I think it's a problem as well of that. Because there's normally like an automatic response system, so essentially like, you know, there's kind of like a lot of automatic response kind of signals and stuff, those kind of like big orbs, I think, like the kind of like big kind of almost like massive golf ball things, which are kind of like big radar things that if they detect like a nuclear weapon coming inbound, there's an automatic response system which then send a nuclear weapon back to them. And so, yeah, it's almost like once the first one goes off, there'd probably be loads back and forth between different countries and stuff. And yeah, it would completely annihilate everyone, wouldn't it? And then another one, When the Wind Blows, is essentially, it's by the guy who, Raymond Briggs, who did the Snowman and stuff. I think Ethel and Ernest did Fungus the Bogeyman, stuff like that. And it's essentially, it was originally a graphic novel, which I've actually read as well, because I remember Joe brought it up when we did our weekend when he came up here. And we did Hat Green, we watched Threads, we watched When the Wind Blows, watched Protect and Survive, which I'll talk about in a moment. But then he also brought along his copy of When the Wind Blows, and yeah, I read through it like, I think it was the night before Hat Green. And yeah, you know, it was just I think the graphic novel goes a little bit more satirical than the film does, but yeah, it's essentially about a elderly couple, all kind of like hand drawn in the animation style, like the snowman and stuff. But it's also interesting. It's got 2D animation, but it's also got it's like 2D characters on a 3D set for like their house, and so it's really cool. There's one scene where the main character, Jim Bloggs, he comes into his house, takes his coat up, and it goes from a 2D coat to him hanging it up, and it's like a 3D coat, which is yeah, it's just really cool. Really cool like animation style for the time. But yeah, and it's essentially a nuclear war happens, and they start preparing for it, and then obviously the bomb goes off, and yeah, it's essentially seeing a adorable elderly couple slowly succumb to radiation poisoning, which is yeah, it's quite dark and sad. I would say When the Wind Blows is kind of more sad than anything, although there is one jump scare that gets me, where there's like a rat that comes out of the toilet at one point. It gets me every bloody time. But yeah, because it goes from like a really quiet scene to like just his wife, what's her name, Hilda. Yeah, his wife Hilda just like screaming her head off, and a rat kind of jumping at the screen. But yeah, it's just yeah, I would say When the Wind Blows is kind of more sad and upsetting, while Threads is just like bleak. It's like a really bleak and dark film. But I would say if you're gonna watch any of them, I'd watch Threads at least once. I feel like everyone should watch Threads at least once, because it's just such an important film. It just shows why nuclear war should never happen. You know, it's just a really good allegory for that. And I feel every politician who gets into a position where they could like launch nuclear weapons, they should have to watch Threads before they can get into that position. Because yeah, you know, I feel it's very important. Though I remember at the time, I think Margaret Thatcher said that she just thought the film was like a load of nonsense or whatever. But it's like, you know, Tory, whatever. But yeah, I had to get it political somehow, didn't I? But yeah, you know, I mean, to be fair, actually, I remember. God, I need to have a drink. Hold on. I was gonna say something funny, but then my throat is so dry. But yeah, I mean, because you know, I say about, you know, like, yeah, you know, oh, you know, funny political joke, but like, I remember when Liz Truss was Prime Minister, and for like, what was it, 45 days or something, and she did like an interview somewhere. I think it was like in front of an audience, whatever, like a Q&A thing. What should I work on next? I think I'll work on these two, and then I'll work on the big thing after that. But yeah, and she was asked about nuclear weapons, and she was asked about, you know, how she would feel about, you know, what would her feelings be at the time of having to launch a nuclear weapon. And it's like, she said she'd do what she has to do, and like almost so emotionless that it makes it very worrying that that's kind of the mindset that our government has, like, you know, that, because I feel like there's a lot of people, mainly on the right of politics, who are just, you know, yeah, they love nuclear weapons and woohoo, you know, mutually assured destruction, let's go, but nah, like, it would be much safer without them. Like, I would much rather conventional weapons used than nuclear weapons, because I think it's the thing with nuclear weapons is you don't just have like the blast and, you know, the kind of the heat and the blast, or the you know, they're already big enough, but then it's the radiation afterwards that just makes, like, the planet unlivable, you know, so, yeah, so that's not great, but yeah, and then the other kind of thing is Protect and Survive, which is, kind of the creepy thing about that is that it's actually real, so it's essentially it was originally a load of pamphlets, which, should I get out my one that I've already got? Hold on. I've got my own little copy of Protect and Survive from eBay. This is an original copy as well. It says published in 1980, so that's really cool. I'll just... Oh, God, I'm a complete mess today. Yeah, so that's the pamphlet, which essentially just gives you like advice on how to survive a nuclear war. The problem is the advice is very out of date, and to be honest, wouldn't have even helped at the time. It tells you things, for example, like to build a lean-to shelter out of, you know, out of doors, and put some bags on it and stuff. But I believe when it was actually looked into, fact-checked, I guess, I believe it was that it would only let you survive for like 17 seconds, I believe. So yeah, very non-practical. I think it's just because there's not really much advice you can give. I mean, I think the point is don't get to the point of a nuclear exchange in a way. But yeah, but then there were also some PSA videos done, which you can find all on YouTube, so they're all up there if you type in Protect and Survive, and they're really creepy. It kind of has like an analog horror thing, where it's where it's essentially like really basic animation. I believe the animators were the people who did there were these PSAs called I think it was Charley Says, where essentially it was like this boy and his cat. I think the cat was called Charlie, and essentially it would be like kind of like Stranger Danger stuff, all that kind of stuff, and then you'd have the cat that would go like meow 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 meow, and like really kind of creepy animation and voice.
He says never go anywhere with men or ladies you don't know.
So it was the animators who did that, and then there's like a jingle for Protect and Survive as well, which was composed by the composer for Doctor Who in the 70s or 80s. So you get kind of two of like the creepiest things together, makes these like really kind of horrifying PSAs, which and they're also just obviously very bleak subject matters. I mean, the last one is kind of the bleakest of them all, which is called Casualties, where it basically tells you about what you should do if one of your family members dies in the shelter, and you have to take the body outside the room, and then after 14 days you can go and bury them. And it's like it's very dark and bleak, but also just a very creepy style as well. I think just the creepiest thing is that it's real. It's not like Threads or When the Wind Blows, where it's like it's a dramatization. Like, no, this is actually real stuff that existed, and I believe the advice to this day is pretty much the same stuff that was given back then, which is kind of worrying, not gonna lie. So yeah, that's creepy nuclear war stuff. There is also one which I haven't properly watched, which is called The Day After, which is essentially I believe it might have been slightly before Threads, I can't remember, but essentially it's like kind of the American version of Threads, which it goes kind of less, from what I've seen and reviews that I've heard, it kind of basically is like a less intense version of Threads, which it has a little bit more kind of hope by the end of it rather than just being bleak, which makes it a little bit less effective. And I believe also they wanted to have like less criticism of like the American government in it and stuff. So yeah, that kind of makes it a little bit of a weaker statement, I guess, in it. So yeah, I haven't properly watched it, but from the bits I've seen, it seems a little bit less intense, but probably still pretty big. I mean, I've seen the actual attack sequence, that's quite kind of jarring in a way, but yeah, maybe I need to give that a watch one day. I mean, because that's the point, right? One day I'd love to actually kind of react to those things. The reason why I don't at the moment is because I'm not really reacting to anything copyrighted at the moment. Wink, wink. But yeah, at one point I'm gonna kind of do it in a way that kind of most channels do it, where it's like maybe get something like a Patreon one day, where it's like I could put full reaction watch-alongs on there and then kind of cut down versions on YouTube. But I don't want to do that until I've actually got to a point where I could do something like that. Which I have an idea in mind when, but I'm not going to say when, to try and keep it a secret. So, Stego Slide. Oh, that's such a cool name. We're only up to 50%, yet we're like an hour and 23 in, Jesus. This might be like a 3-hour video. No, I think I might be able to get like 2 hours something, hopefully. But, yeah, does this have like different parts to it? No, it's all the same thing. Right, but yeah, so it'd be cool to like cover like things like nuclear war stuff. I want to cover Bagpuss at some point. If you haven't heard about my thoughts on Bagpuss at any point, listen to Scare Seekers episode 5 if you can find it on the old Scare Seekers Spotify and stuff. But yeah, shall I talk about Bagpuss for a bit? Yeah, Bagpuss essentially it's a British children's 1970s animation. Made by Small Films, so Oliver Postgate and Peter Firmin, which is terrifying for me. It's just I remember being shown it as like a really young kid. We had like a VHS of it, and we only ever watched the first episode because the VHS would always get rewinded every time. So for a while, I only ever saw that first episode, but it's just the fact that the animation style's so simplistic. It's also just 1970s animation's just always creepy, you know. So yeah, you know, it kind of has that kind of like analog horror thing to it. I mean, I think I even said like in the last Walton Files video, like Bagpuss, it has a, you know, really simplistic animation found footage style, which yeah, makes it really creepy. But it's also one very particular part of it was one of the characters called Gabriel the Toad, who is very creepy. It's just a really creepy design, but it's also the fact that most of the show was stop motion animation, so it kind of move the puppet, take a shot, move the puppet, take a shot, you know, kind of going frame by frame, and then putting all them together, and then there you go, you got stop motion animation. But with Gabriel the Toad, because his movements were so kind of specific and very kind of, they needed to kind of be more, kind of more flexible in a way, they made a live action puppet, but it wasn't like a hand puppet or anything. It was, basically it was a toad that kind of sat in like a little pot, in a way, and so below the pot they had like a kind of like a pulley system where you put like your fingers through these finger loops, and then like you pull one and make him move in one way, pull another and make him move in a different way. So essentially it meant he could open and close his mouth, play the banjo, stuff like that. But yeah, because of that, because he was live action and the rest of them were stop motion, it means that there's like a very jarring difference between the movement and kind of like the lighting and stuff between the rest of the characters and Gabriel the Toad. And in the scenes where Gabriel the Toad is with the stop motion characters, he is moved stop motion as well, but because he is a live action puppet, the movement is much more basic than the rest of them. So it's kind of more fluid in the scenes that he's just in, but it's more basic in the scenes where he's with everyone else. It just makes it look really creepy and terrifying. And I genuinely used to have nightmares every night about Gabriel the Toad, where I'd like run to my parents' bedroom because I had a nightmare about Gabriel the Toad again. Genuinely terrifying. I can't wait to one day actually react to it on the channel, because it's going to be, yeah, just going through my childhood trauma. But yeah, they did also things like the clangers as well, which actually got brought back on CBeebies as well, which is really cool. I'm glad they kept that stop motion animation as well, because yeah, it wouldn't work as well if it was like CGI or whatever. Yeah, but they also did Pogle's Wood, Ivor the Engine, what's the other one? Noggin the Nog, stuff like that. Different animations like that stuff. Again, all creepy in their own ways as well. But yeah, Bagpuss was the one that really kind of traumatized me as a child, and still does in a way. Like I just get that. I can watch it, but I get that really creepy vibe with it still, where I'm really uncomfortable with it. But yeah, at least I'm actually able to watch it now, which is good. So yeah, that is Bagpuss. But yeah, just stuff like that I'd like to cover. Doctor Who at some point as well, you know, do like a marathon actually covering it on the channel. You know, other stuff. One day I'd love to do a marathon of the Lego video games, but as I do with everything, I'd want to cover like everything with it. So, you know, the first Lego game is Lego Star Wars, so I'd want to cover the Star Wars films, cover like all the Star Wars series and stuff like that on the channel as well. Then, you know, Lego Harry Potter, cover all the Harry Potter stuff. Lego Dimensions that I'm playing at the moment, cover all the franchises with that, which would include Doctor Who as well, so that'll be fun. But yeah, you know, just cover any current stuff, you know, any current series, any current films, you know, and do reactions to them. That'd be cool. So basically just become a reaction channel, which I think would make it more interesting as well. It would also, you know, give me more to react to as well, which would be great instead of videos like this where I just have to think of random topics to talk about. So yeah, so that'd be good. Like maybe do like a reaction video in between these ones, like do Minecraft reaction video, PowerWash Simulator reaction video, Walton Files reaction video, blah blah blah, like. And yeah, that can give like a little bit more space between these ones, because yeah, as I say, I run out of things to talk about very quickly. I guess going back to the nuclear war stuff, I could explain how nuclear war things work in a way, how a nuclear attack would work, or like what a nuclear bomb would do if anyone wants to get traumatized and scarred like I am. Yeah, I mean, essentially it kind of works in three parts. You'd have the starters, you'd have the so you'd have the heat first. So the heat is big heat wave that comes across, which would also have kind of like light as well. So if you're looking at the nuclear blast, you're probably blind. So yeah, if a nuclear war ever happens, never look at the mushroom cloud, because you will probably become either permanently or semi-permanently blind. And then so then you get the heat, which is like a big heat wave that will give you second, third degree burns and stuff like that, melt things. Then the second bit's the blast, which is the explosion, so essentially the thing that will destroy stuff. Which isn't great, and that's kind of the point when I said in one of the make do shelters you'd only last like 17 seconds, because you'd last like the heat, you might be able to get through that, but with the blast, you'd probably be dead. And also it depends on like what radius you are near to the bomb. So if you're not near like any big landmarks or anything, then you could survive. But then there's the third part, which is the radiation, the fallout. So essentially, it's called fallout because it falls out of the sky, and essentially what it is it's not just radiation. It's essentially when, I think it is specifically when there's a ground burst. Oh, speaking of ground burst, I'm stuck on the ground now. Let me up. There we go. When there is a ground, so I guess the difference between a ground burst and an airburst. An airburst is when the bomb explodes in the air. A ground burst is when it explodes when it touches the ground. And with a ground burst, that can cause a lot of debris and dirt to be sucked up into the mushroom cloud plume. And with that plume, that will then all those little bits of dust and dirt and bits of debris will all be irradiated from the nuclear weapon, and then that will come down as fallout. And the problem with fallout is that if it touches you, if you breathe it in, if you ingest it or whatever, then you get radiation poisoning and radiation sickness, which is not fun, because essentially I think I remember watching the Chernobyl series, which isn't nuclear war, but it's a nuclear accident that happens, so it has a lot of the similar stuff, but it explained how radiation sickness works is essentially all the cells in your body start like breaking apart, essentially. And so, because obviously like, cells are all together normally, but essentially starts breaking the bonds between cells in your body, and so you essentially start to almost like kind of decompose from the inside outwards. Fun conversations for a PowerWash video, by the way. This is what happens when I run out of conversation starters. I go into like depressing, bleak nuclear war stuff, but I kind of find the darker sides of history fascinating in a way. Like for example, the first thing that I was really interested in, not like in a insensitive way or anything, but I've always been quite interested in like the Holocaust and stuff like that. Again, in a very, not in like a wow that was cool, of course not, but it was a massive atrocity. But it kind of, I'm always interested in the things where it's like, how could this humanly happen? Like, how could we get to a point where something like the Holocaust could happen in a way? So it really fascinates and interests me, but it's also like, one day I'd actually love to visit the memorial centre at Auschwitz at one point to actually, pay my respects and stuff, but also just to kind of get that feeling of being there as well. I feel like it'd be a really kind of, it's kind of like a bucket list place I'd love to visit one day. But yes, there's that kind of bit. There's also kind of like, with some of kind of like the civil rights struggles in America and stuff, I always found that kind of interesting. Again, just kind of like these points where like these really dark points in history where it's like, how could these things kind of humanly happen, with kind of like segregation and racism, like the lengths that went to. I always kind of found that interesting. And then the third thing is nuclear war, the fact that not necessarily like how a nuclear war would happen, not like necessarily like the Cold War of how like that kind of came about. It's more kind of the fact of what would happen if a nuclear attack happened. And so, I find that really interesting, fascinating, and not just like the effects of the bomb and stuff, but also the effects on society, what would actually happen to society, how it would all kind of fall apart in a way. So they're always kind of like the bits of history that really interest me. Back onto nuclear weapons though. Other things that would happen would be like a nuclear winter, which is essentially that there'd be so much kind of pollution in the air that it would block out the sun. which would then cause nuclear winter, where essentially it would become really cold and yeah, just really cold weather, really freezing weather, almost kind of like a second ice age in a way. But then once kind of like the smog and stuff clears, you'd then have blistering heat and stuff because the ozone layer would have been destroyed, meaning that I believe it was in Threads that when that happens is they had to wear like kind of like extra protective layers of clothing because like the UV rays from the sun were so intense that it could burn you, but also sun can obviously burn you already, but like burn you a lot quicker and a lot more severely. But then also you could get like different forms of cancers and stuff. So yeah, like a lot of different things with nuclear war, which are not fun. But yeah, going back to radiation as well. God, the conversation starters I have. Yeah, with the whole thing of it kind of like breaking up the different cells in your body means that I think it was in Chernobyl as well, because some of them were so close to the explosion, they literally started like kind of bleeding from their skin in a way because the cells were breaking up so quickly. But then it causes things like hair loss, kind of gums bleeding and all that kind of stuff. Vomiting and stuff like that, all because of these cells breaking in your body. Again, I'm probably giving a very simplistic overview as well, because obviously I'm not a scientist, but yeah, just from what I understand, that's basically it. It's essentially your body starts breaking apart, kind of cell by cell, because the radiation's kind of killing those bonds between cells. And so yeah, it's not fun, it's not nice, and it's why we should never have a nuclear war, and it's why I would always fight for nuclear disarmament, because it's like, because, I like how, like, different world leaders say, oh, we'd never want to use a nuclear weapon, apart from Liz Truss, clearly, but, yeah, like, they never want to use the nuclear weapon, but then that's, like, well, why have them then? Like, if you don't want to use them, don't have them, like, and I get that disarmament isn't easy, because, you kind of have to do it very kind of segmented, and make sure, every country agrees to it, which, obviously, certain countries probably wouldn't want to do that, but, yeah, I think it would just make us all a lot safer in a way, because I always think, like, even if they're never going to be used, I feel like as long as nuclear weapons exist, they could always be used. There's always the potential they could be used, or they could always, they could always accidentally go off. If you have them in, like, a storage place, it's possible that one day they might accidentally go off, and then they all go off in one place, and then, it's going to be a massive, massive disaster. And it's also an issue with, like, for example, with the Chernobyl incident, was, like, it didn't just affect like Chernobyl and the surrounding, the immediate surrounding areas. It was also that it also spread across the world, because the wind can take the fallout to different countries and stuff. And so yeah, if a nuclear war happened across multiple countries, like let's say we had bombs being dropped here, you had like bombs being dropped in America, bombs being dropped in Russia, whatever. A lot of kind of like the European countries. Even if you were in a country that wasn't like, maybe like in, I don't know, the Netherlands, for an example, or Africa, or somewhere like that, or maybe if Australia wasn't involved, the fallout could still spread to those countries. The nuclear winter, of course, like, the climate effects and stuff that would happen. I mean, the planet's already fucked in regards to climate change, isn't it? But that would just accelerate it even further, which means those countries would be affected. And I say, like, with society collapsing, those countries would collapse too. Probably a lot of stuff that they have to export from other countries. If those countries are completely decimated, like, then that stops kind of trade. That stops different resources that are needed going round. And yeah, it would, it would completely destroy society. So yeah, please no nuclear war. That'd be nice. But yeah, that's the stuff I'm interested in. But again, it's kind of like, because it's so dark, it's really interesting. Like, I find it really fascinating and stuff, just to kind of imagine those things, because it almost doesn't feel real at times, and yet it is. Like, it is a really realistic thing that could happen. So yeah, yes, anything else that I can talk about after that? God, I don't know, what else am I interested in? Cats. I'm interested in cats. I've got my 2 adorable fur babies, Phoebe and Winnie. I believe Phoebe is 7. I believe she's going to be 8 this year, which means Winnie will be 6. And yeah, they're adorable. I think Phoebe's definitely kind of the one I have more favoritism towards, just because I don't know, you know, you always kind of have like a pet that's you're a little bit closer to, and I think it's just that Winnie isn't as close to me as Phoebe is. So you know, it's not all my fault. But yeah, no, they're both adorable as well. But Winnie's kind of a little bit more derpy than Phoebe. Like Phoebe's just like a little princess in a way. She's like a very she's almost like a panther. I feel like a very fluffy panther. Well, Winnie's just like a crazy little cat. Well, she's not crazy. She's a bit derpy. I feel that's what Winnie is. She's derpy. Here's all the dirt. Here we go. Found all this stuff. And then, well, not really before then, but kind of like around the same time as then, we had a dog called Jenna, who was adorable. We had her for 16 years. I had Jenna longer than I had Doctor Who, because Doctor Who I started following 2005. We got Jenna in 2004, and kind of a fun fact about her is that my surname's Coleman, and so Jenna would have been Jenna Coleman. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, you'll know that one of the Doctor Who companions is played by an actress called Jenna Coleman. But we named her before I even knew what Doctor Who was, so it's just a massive coincidence that... And I remember when she was announced as being part of Doctor Who, and it's like, oh my god, that is literally our dog's name. So that was fun. So, yeah, we have a dog called... Well, we had a dog called Jenna Coleman, RIP. Yeah, and she's in the garden, like most of her old pets. Yeah, 16 years. She was a collie dog. Very cute collie dog. Where am I missing on the bin? There we go. I'm missing like on the inside. There we go. There we are. But yeah, she was cute. But yeah, it got to a point like I remember she had to have her eye taken out at one point because she got like a cataract in it. I think it was because my dad she used to kick the ball to her, and sometimes it would actually hit her in the eye. And so yeah, that's probably what caused that. So yeah, that's a shame that but it's kind of cute as well, because like when it kind of had all healed over, yeah, it was just kind of like the fur had kind of grown over it, which is cute. And we also like photoshopped an eye patch onto a picture of her with it, which is adorable. So yeah, she was a little pirate at that point. But then again, she couldn't see out of that eye anyway, even when she had it in, so it didn't really make too much of a difference. But she was getting into a lot of pain with the eye being in, so yeah, she needed the surgery to take it out. And then I believe it was actually during 2020 that yeah, she passed away, and we had to put her to sleep. Because yeah, I can't remember what it was now. I think it was. I mean, it was probably close to old age, but I can't remember if there was like a specific thing. It might have been that she was being sick, or it was. I think she was in pain at some point. I mean, that's always the case, isn't it, when you put a pet to sleep? But, yeah, very, very loyal dog. Again, kind of derpy. I feel a lot of dogs are derpy, in a way. That's kind of why I prefer cats. The way, like, don't get me wrong, dogs are clever as well, but I feel like they're a little bit too subservient, in a way. Like, you know, you can tell a dog to sit, you can tell a dog to stay. With a cat, you can't really do that as much, and I kind of like that. Kind of like, it gives them a bit more personality in a way that isn't just, like, derpy, I will follow human commands, like you are human. You know, yeah, like, you know, cats, they got a little bit more independence in a way, which I quite like. And they're just so cute and fluffy. So yeah, so that was my main three pets. And before Winnie, we had a cat called Jessie, a little kitten, who unfortunately died after, I believe it was 11 months, so we didn't even have her a year, which is because unfortunately we let her out too early. We didn't not really let her out too early. She got out too early. She was a crazy cat. Like, she was more crazy than Winnie. Like, there was a point where as a kitten she got up a tree, and I'm not just talking about like a short small tree. It was a big tree in our neighbour's garden that she managed to get up. I remember when I used to go to college at that point, I'd walk up to the road, I'd walk up our street to like the main road, and she would literally follow me like up the road up to near the traffic lights, and I'd have to kind of like shoo her back so she didn't, like, you know, follow me all the way to college, which is crazy. So yeah, she was a crazy cat anyway. But yeah, then unfortunately she died because you know, because she got out and she went around the front a lot, where like, you know, our street was kind of like the main road. She got run over, unfortunately. The fortunate thing was that it was all internal bleeding, which is unfortunate because it was it means that it wasn't really able to be fixed. So we had to put her to sleep, but the fortunate thing was that she wasn't like mangled up or anything. You know, you couldn't see any of the injuries, which meant that when we went to go and see her before she was put to sleep, yeah, we managed to, you know, say goodbye, you know, give her a little bit of a stroke and a cuddle and stuff. But she was very kind of out of it at that point. I think she'd been kind of like drugged up in a way to, you know, reduce a lot of the pain and stuff. But yeah, she was very kind of out of it at that point, and yeah, unfortunately died. And then we got Winnie, I think a week after. And then before Jessie, yeah, it was Jessie, wasn't it? Yeah. God, I forgot the name just then. Yeah, before Jessie we had Dora, who was kind of the first cat that I really kind of became fond of, because it used to be that I hated cats. When we were younger, we had cats called Molly and Rosie, and I absolutely hated them. I hated the fact that you couldn't. They were so unpredictable, which, you know, cats are unpredictable, but it's like they were so unpredictable that they could scratch you at any moment and, you know, try and cuddle them and show them affection, but then they'll kind of bite you and maul you to death, like, you know. So, well, with dogs, that didn't really happen as much. You know, like, Jenna would sometimes kind of, like, snap at us, but, you know, then you'd kind of tell her off and then she wouldn't do it again. But with cats, yeah, they'll kind of do it regardless, which, again, it's kind of a thing that I like, but it's also, yeah, you know, it's quite unpredictable. I can see why people wouldn't really like that about cats, but yeah, I used to be like that. But then with Dora, I got like a really kind of strong bond with her, and she was very similar to Winnie, but she was like a bigger version of Winnie essentially. And yeah, she was adorable, so cute. But unfortunately, she died because she had a massive heart problem. Literally, her heart was 2 times the size that it should have been. It was kind of like a Grinch situation where it kind of like grew like 2 sizes larger. But it was to the point where it was like, I think it was like a weird kind of genetic condition where yeah, you could literally kind of like see her heart almost kind of like beating out the side of her chest, which was just wasn't great. And she was vomiting a lot of the time as well because of it, and yeah, she wasn't doing great, and so yeah, then unfortunately she had to be put to sleep. But yeah, I remember like I grew a massive bond with her, and so then when she died, Phoebe was the next cat that we had, and well, I mean, we had Phoebe while we had Dora as well, and then when Dora went, we got Jessie, and then when Jessie went, we got Winnie. But then yeah, so kind of when Dora died, I kind of like kind of attached to Phoebe, and yeah, now she's my baby. But yeah, I feel like yeah, I feel like with a lot of the pets that have gone, it's been sad, but I haven't been like, you know, majorly too affected by it. I think with Jenna it was the most, because like, you know, we'd had her for 16 years, we'd had her for such a long time. While I think when Phoebe goes, I'll be absolutely inconsolable, because I've become so close to her. Like, I literally see her every day, and so it's like, yeah, if yeah, when she goes eventually, like, which hopefully isn't too, you know, anytime soon, because, like, as I say, she'll be 8 this year, so she's still probably got a few years on her, I'd imagine, like, to the mid-teens, I guess. But yeah, when she goes, I'll be absolutely, like, distraught, because I'll probably have to get a new cat straight after that, because, yeah, God, it would absolutely mess me up. But yeah, we're at 56% now. Oh my God, this is going to be over 2 hours. But I'll keep trooping on. It's going to be so long to edit. Fortunately, though, with this, because I'm probably not going to be recording anything else before opening day, it means I can just like focus on editing this and give it more time, essentially. But yeah, man, this is going to be a long one. And I really need a drink again, because my throat... It's killing me. Ugh. Fortunately, I don't need to go to the toilet yet, though, but my God. Definitely after this, my work is done for today. I mean, I'm glad I didn't record this in the morning as well, because otherwise I probably would have had to have a late lunch or something, but, yeah. But, yeah. Is there anything else I can talk about with my pets? I mean, I guess Molly and Rosie, as I say, I wasn't really too close to them, to be honest. I wasn't really too close to many of our early pets. But yeah, Molly, again, because Winnie, Dora and Molly were all tortoiseshell. So I can kind of demonstrate this. I've got this a little stress toy that I have for therapy and stuff called Fudge, who is kind of like based off one of my friends, friend that I used to have, who I was very close to, and we both love cats, and so this is based off one of her cats, but it's very similar to Winnie as well, same kind of colour scheme, and so yeah, so it's kind of like a tortoise shell, so that's Winnie, Dora, and Molly were all tortoiseshell cats, and then you got Phoebe. I got a Phoebe one as well, which is you know, black cat, so based off Phoebe. But then Rosie, I believe Rosie might have been like a black and white cat. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I remember she actually got given. I think when Molly died, she actually got given to an old lady who lived in a nearby town to here. And I can't remember if whether Rosie died or the old lady died first. I can't remember. I think it might have been Rosie who died first. But yeah, so she got given to her. And then in regards to other dogs, we also had a dog called Bonnie and Meg, who again, I wasn't really too close to them. I think it's because they were bigger dogs as well. So again, I kind of had that bit of kind of a fear about them in a way, like whether they're going to bite me or something. But yeah, they were cute as well. But yeah, they were bigger than Jenna though. Jenna was kind of like a medium-sized dog. Like, they weren't massive dogs. Like, they weren't like kind of like, it wasn't like a Beethoven situation, which was like a massive dog. Like, I think they might have been collies as well. I'm not sure. But like Meg was like a black and white one, while Jenna was black and white as well, but smaller. And Bonnie was kind of like almost similar to like a tortoiseshell in a way, kind of like brown, white, with little bits of black in there. And yeah, I don't remember too much about them, to be honest, because it was when we were younger, when we had them. I remember my brother also had a rat. I kind of ingeniously named Scabbers. Obviously, you could tell he was a Harry Potter fan. I don't really remember too much about Scabbers, to be honest. Again, we also had like I think we had like maybe some guinea pigs as well at one point. Rabbits, apparently. We had some fish. I remember we had a goldfish called I think was again inventively called Nemo, and then we had another one who was like, it was, I don't know what breed it would have been, but it would have been like a kind of like a pink and white fish called Spot or Spotty, I think, because it had like a little spot on it as well. I can't remember any of the fish that we had. I might have had some more, but yeah, that's all my pets. God, I've run out of so much conversation to talk about. Is there really nothing else I can talk about with like theme parks and stuff? Not really, is there? God. Again, with towers, not really anything else, to be honest. I don't really want to go into like kind of scare attraction speculation as well, because I might actually do a video on that separately, possibly for towers and for Thorpe at some point, maybe like over the summer. So I don't really want to speculate about that too much at the moment. And to be honest, probably most of the speculation will be things that I've already speculated in the reaction videos. So yeah. Yeah, what else can I talk about that I'm into? Yeah, I've already gone into the topic of nuclear war, haven't I? Any other games that I play? Not really. I'd say it's just like Lego games that I like, Animal Crossing. There's a Doctor Who game on my phone that I play called Lost in Time, which I'm incredibly addicted to. It's essentially like a God, my throat is so sore. Let's get another drink. Ugh. My God, this is a difficult one. I might actually have to split the next few ones into a couple of parts. In fact, should I split this one now? Because I've been recording for like nearly 2 hours. Should I stop this here and then finish this in the next video? Because I feel like this could take an hour to do, right? Right? Hopefully. I don't know. Anyway, this is how much I've done already. I think I'll call it a day, because nearly up to 2 hours and I am tired as fuck. So yeah, I think I'm gonna, what I might do in future ones is like get up to like 50% and then yeah, call it quits for the day. Yeah, so here's what I've done so far in the park. This is kind of like this is like a bright teal, maybe closer to turquoise. I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything I'm going to do for today. I got 58%, 2 stars, I'm tired. So the next video you'll see from me will be from opening day. I'll get this beast of an episode edited. And yeah, hopefully I have a lot more to talk about in the next video I do on this as well. And with well, then again, a lot of that might be taken up in the Minecraft one. So opening day will be in the next video. Hopefully I'll have like a good amount of time during the week just to chill with Mike and Stace and stuff, and really prep myself up for that. Hopefully I'll have a really good day with it, and hopefully make a good vlog about it, which will hopefully be out the next week. So until Alton Towers opening day, I will see you next time. Bye.